And here we are. Carolina and Juan.
Hey, Jay.
How are you?
Good.
Pretty good. You?
I'm excellent. I feel like I'm talking to some celebrities here. I'm honored.
No, we wish. Thanks for having us in your podcast, Jay.
No, it's my pleasure. As you're having a good day, everything good?
Everything is good.
Everything
I feel
good,
like
yeah.
I feel like every day is good in your land. Is every day good?
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time.
Yeah.
We all have our days, but you're happy folks.
We try.
Oh, no, it's good. Listen, I cannot thank you enough for joining me on the Be Entrepreneurial podcast. Carolina, I just talked to Maria in our latest episode. So this is fantastic because yourself, me, and Maria, we've all worked together. Juan, I feel like we've worked together in spirit, though not actually. So this is nice to go straight from Maria to Carolina and Juan.
Awesome.
Yes. So listen, so we are going to get right into it. And I'm going to start by asking you a question. And Juan, if it's okay, I'm going to ask this question to you. What does it mean to you to be entrepreneurial?
It means trying to escape the fixated mindset that we all have as human beings of having to work for someone to make a living, but rather working for yourself and pursuing your ideas to do something that you want to do. That's the way I see it. I don't know if that's totally
No,
weird.
that was fantastic.
That's pretty okay. We can just thanks for coming, folks. This has been good. Pretty much summed it up. No, that's I love that answer. And Carolina, so with that being said, it sounds like you're in agreement that that's a pretty good definition of being entrepreneurial. Do you think that anybody can be an entrepreneur?
I think yes. I don't think you have to be born with, the entrepreneurial spirit. I think as long as you really want something and you want it really bad and you want it to happen, I think anyone can just take the determination and make it work.
And so tell me a little bit about yourselves and Mundo Together.
Juan.
You start about yourself first.
About ourselves. Okay, so we are both Colombian. We moved to Canada. I moved to Canada 5 years ago. And
I moved to Canada 6 years ago. So it's been over 6 years since I came.
We studied when we first arrived in Canada. We both studied. Juan studied brewmaster's program, so he makes beer, and I did study something that it had to do more with entrepreneurship, which was a master in business, entrepreneurship, and technology. But the true entrepreneur in this family is Juan.
Well, it's a combination of the two. I think. I think we both make a really good team. But yeah, as Caro said, I came to study to be a brewmaster, which I did graduate from being a brewmaster. I worked as a brewmaster for a year, and then I switched to marketing afterwards. That because my background is marketing. So back in Colombia, I studied business, and then I was working in the marketing department in one of the biggest industries in Colombia. But one thing that I love is adapting. And I think when you are able to adapt, you can really understand the world. So I adapted from being a businessman to a brewmaster and then back to marketing and now an entrepreneur. And I would have never done that without Carolina and her support. So it's a teamwork.
Yeah, and so you're this is interesting because you're married and you're also I guess you consider yourself co-founders, right?
Mm-hmm.
So You're married, you're also in business together. Juan, when you say adapting, Is adapting the same as reacting for you?
I mean, yes and no. So you should definitely adapt if you need to react. Like those that don't learn to react in time cannot succeed in what they're doing, what they're pursuing. However, you can also adapt before you have to react. So you can kind of like anticipate things before they happen, and then you don't need to react. You're just adapting to what you're seeing in the environment as, I don't know, maybe opportunity or any other change that is happening at the moment. So it all depends.
And this is something I think that a lot of entrepreneurs go through, right? Is I think more often than not, and Caroline, I'd love to get your perspective on whether or not this is true. I think you may have had some exposure to this during your MBA, and I've just sort of had some exposure to it coaching and mentoring other entrepreneurs. But I feel like more often than not, the thing that people set out to do is not normally what they end up doing. Mm-hmm. They think they have an idea, they think they're going to do something, and once they start taking those steps, that's why those are the most important steps, because that starts taking you down a journey that you can never foresee. But more often than not, would you agree that what people set out to do does not look like what they actually end up doing?
100%. And pivoting and changing and adapting is a crucial part of the entrepreneurial process. You may have something in mind that you think is like very important and a problem that you probably want to solve, or an opportunity that you're chasing, but you have to see what the market wants. And if your idea of what they want is different from what they truly want, you need to adapt, change, and sometimes end up in a totally different thing that you thought that you were going to be initially. So yeah.
And I think that brings up a really, really good question. And I know that there's no simple answer, but I'd love to get your perspective, because this is the question that so many entrepreneurs try to figure out, which is, what does the market want? and how do I mirror my passions, and what I want to do with what the market actually wants? For somebody who's either just starting out, or maybe they've sort of gone a little bit on their journey, but they're at that point, one, like you say, where they've either got to adapt, react, they understand that something has to change. As an entrepreneur, how do you know?
Well, we can tell you from our experience, I think, right? Mm-hmm. So when we first launched Mundo Together, the initial idea that Juan had, because it was his idea, is completely different of what we're doing right now. And it was because of what people was asking for. So at the beginning, we thought about bringing them, like, the word together. We wanted to take the opportunity to be here in Canada, surrounded by so many different cultures, to be able to maybe interview them, to see what they think about the war, and then show people that at the end we all want similar things, to live a peaceful life, to be secure, to, these things, to find love and all these things. But then when we started with that, initially our page was in English, and then sometimes you used to put the translation in Spanish as well, right? But then we started seeing that the people who were interested in what we do were from Latin America, and they were actually not interested as much in that yet, but they were more interested about how to come to Canada in the first place. How did we come to Canada? How was our process? What did we do? So, yeah. What do you think?
Yeah. I think that's exactly it. Our project started being a very different project to what it became later in the days, because everything had to change. So we had to adapt. People weren't following us because we were speaking English. Maybe
I
the
was
audience
following you.
You were, yeah. True. Yeah, and that's true. We had some English speaking followers at the beginning. We still have them, But the majority of our audience started to come from Latin America, and they didn't want to hear English. They wanted to hear the message more clearly in Spanish. And that's when we pivoted and we started doing things in Spanish, and then our site exploded and everything started to go really well.
But we had to make a decision, at that point. We're like, okay, either we continue down this road or we switch and give the people what they want. But yeah, eventually we ended up choosing to do content in Spanish, and then throw a little bit of English down the road, right? We're now like trying to include more English, but still.
Yeah, I
more
remember
Spanish.
the day that you did that, because I believe it or not, I was following you very closely from day one, just because I resonated with the message that you were sending. And as just, whether I'm an entrepreneur or just a general human being, it just brought some joy into my day. But ironically, the joy that was brought into my day brought you about 900 followers on Instagram. And when you switched to bring joy to other people, you went from 900 to 103,000 other
Yeah.
people on Instagram. And so I want to ask you about that, because this is almost a selfish question, although I'd imagine that if I feel it sometimes, other people do too. As you make those pivots and as you make those adaptations or reactions, often when you need to choose a lane that is the market that is looking for the value that you can provide, or when the market has clearly shown you this is the value that you can bring and this is what people are looking for, choosing to go that route is also choosing to leave other people behind. That is something that I've always struggled with. How do you reckon with that?
I think, the right answer wouldn't be a right answer, but I think
If it's your answer, it's the right answer.
There's a moment in which you cannot please everyone. And if you're seeing that the path you're taking is bringing you more of those results that you want, that's when you have to really take that step and say, okay, I think what I attracted before, or whatever I was able to pursue before, because of the beliefs that I had at the beginning, maybe is not going to bring me the results that I need or the ones that I'm looking for. So I'm just gonna make the switch, and then that you can lose that audience or those people that weren't interested in those things that you're now doing. Which of course we have, like most of the English speaker audience that we had, they're no longer in the account anymore. But we know that the results that we're bringing in right now are bringing more. I wouldn't say necessarily joy, but at least better results of what we're needing to do.
And so that's a good segue to talking about brand. I feel like you've built a pretty incredible brand between the brand name Mundo Together, each other sort of as the faces, and all of the content that you bring to people. Was building a brand something that you were actively trying to do, or was it just a byproduct of what you were doing?
I think it was a result, right? Like, we weren't trying to build a brand. And especially in these like social media platforms, the best way to build a brand, like if you're the face, of course, is to be yourself and to be authentic. And I think that was what resonated the most with people. So yeah, we weren't trying. Actually, the logo of the brand was created by Juan's sister. So everything was like really,
Yeah.
yeah, in the house, but yeah, it happened to be a brand right now,
Yeah.
and like people
Oh,
recognize it. Yeah.
oh, sorry, I thought you froze there. You good?
Yeah, we're good.
Good. Yeah. So I asked, the reason I segued over to ask you about brand is because, like, relative to my previous question about sort of leaving some people behind when you choose other people, I feel like, your answer sort of around true authenticity,
Mhm.
it really resonates with me, because I don't feel like, although you started talking to different people, there was no element of me that was disappointed. Everything, maybe a tiny bit, but it was part of your brand is that kindness, that love, that generosity, the joy that you bring to the world, no matter where people are. People can choose to follow you in whatever language they want. But, and by the way, I love how Instagram has the translate option. So I do get that. But yeah, I just think that's why I wanted to sort of ask about, were you purposely trying to build it? Because I feel like with that authenticity comes easier choices, because you get to know and believe that people understand who you are sort of at your core and in your soul. And so when you make those decisions, you don't have to worry about that so much, because friends and people who care about you and people who affiliate with your brand want to see you succeed.
Yeah,
Would you agree with
100%.
that?
Yeah, no, I agree, and especially now that like we're seeing many trends and like what other influencers may be doing to attract more followers. So you can you can get lost very easily if you don't have your you're not true
Core
to
values,
yourself.
yeah.
Yeah, your core values, because sometimes what you see is that people are like sometimes doing things that are not like ethical, to trying to attract more people in like their social media pages and so on. But what the brands that we've been working with tell us, and they give us the feedback, is that they love that we like are real to ourselves and that we keep it real. So yeah, that's I think that's a very important point.
Do you remember the time that you really started to feel excited about what was happening with Mundo Together and where was it going? Was there like almost like sort of a day or a time where you both kind of went, "Oh my God, this is really good," or was it just sort of a journey that accumulated with more good and more good? Tell me about that time for you.
I mean, gaining followers, of course, is always good news, but not until we started seeing real money come through, we actually started believing that it was going in the right path, like we were going the right direction. So I say, like, yeah, we built a community at the beginning, which was very like pleasing and joyful for us, because we were communicating with them openly. We were trying to respond to all the messages, which of course that's very time consuming. But then once we started seeing brands kind of like paying attention to what we were doing, that's when we started saying, this is actually going somewhere,
Yeah, it's a business instead of a hobby anymore.
Exactly. That's when it became a business rather than a hobby. And we started to see more and more brands contacting us in the later, like, I don't know, maybe second half of last year. And that's when we started to realize, okay, this is getting excited. We have to continue, because like, we're not gonna lie, it hasn't been always like we want to post every day or we want to do something. Like, no, you get tired of talking about the same things sometimes. But if you do have a motivation, like, yeah, like you're growing your audience, you're also growing your business as a brand, that's when you start telling yourself, okay, we have to keep going because this is our project, like we cannot quit at this moment.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And when you first started out, did you have a business lens to it at all? Was there any inkling whatsoever of, like, I want to be an entrepreneur, I think there might be something here? Or was it just, let's do this for fun? Honestly, truly, where did you sit on that stage?
Um, I think it was mostly starting for fun. On when we started it, that's when we saw the opportunity of what it could become. I mean, when we started the account, of course, I did want to be an entrepreneur at some point. I was tired of working for the company that I was working at. And I was just telling Caro, like, okay, we should do something for ourselves. We shouldn't be working for someone else our entire life. So at the beginning, the project was more to like bring us both together to do something that we were enjoying and that we could look forward to after our busy jobs every single day. So I think, it was mostly for fun, but it was also thinking of, okay, let's do something for ourselves rather than not always working for someone else. That was the mindset, I think.
And your story is really the one. It's so. Let me back up a little bit. So it's interesting, Carolina, because you come from sort of like the MBA in entrepreneurship world. Juan, you come from a business and a marketing degree and background, and it's sort of like the stuff that you teach. That they teach you about entrepreneurship, about finding value in the market. Absolutely, there are elements of that in sort of what you're doing, but it's not the traditional path, right? And I think that your story is the one that most people will not tell you to do, but those who do scream it from the top of their lungs. They just say, forget it all. Screw it. Find something you love, do it, and just keep doing it and tell the world about it. Be authentic, be yourself, and eventually good things will happen. Do you believe that mantra to be true?
I think so. Yeah. Like, I mean, if you enjoy what you're doing, you're gonna start bringing attention to whatever you're doing, and when people start putting their eyes on you, something has to happen. Either they see you as a crazy person and maybe just disconnect from whatever you're doing, or maybe they do connect with whatever you're doing and then they start following you because of that. So I do believe that.
I think putting in the work and being consistent, persistent, no matter what, definitely has to pay off somehow, right? If you keep on doing what you're doing, you're authentic and you're doing the job every day, no matter what, something has to happen. Something like, at least you find that that's not the best idea. Well, you change it, right? Or something. It doesn't need to be like the most successful thing ever, but you at least are learning something and you're changing and you're adapting and you're like taking the path that you want to follow, and something has to happen.
And how important do you think the community element is from the beginning? So you sort of took that I don't know if I'd call it a traditional route, but there's a saying that goes, if you can build a community, you can sell to the community, and if you can sell to the community, you can build a business. And you sort of took that, and like, it's just, you're the epitome of what that looks like, right? Is it hard to, because I guess what I'm trying to say is, for somebody who's trying to build a business, forgetting about building a business and setting out to build a community feels difficult. Do you think that it is a necessary component, or if you were to go back and do it all over again, would you do it exactly the same way? And would you give that advice to anybody who's starting a business, no matter what it is? Just go and build a community, because your community will tell you what to do.
Yeah, well, at least that was our case, right? Like, we weren't trying to build a business. We're building a community. Like, as you know, our initial idea was very much just like showing people that the world needs more peace and love and things like that. And that's how we started. And and it eventually became a business. But I'll say, at least in like, if you are going to be in social media platforms and stuff, you do need to build a community 100%.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree. If you have a community, it is easier for you to start a business out of the community. If you just want a community that is not engaged with you, because there are many brands that can do that, and you can actually pay for followers, and many businesses do that as well. It's like those followers are not going to be part of your community. Those are just going to be ghosts that are there and not interacting with you. So I think, yeah, like if you put the time into building the community, responding to messages, which is what we're doing, like I'm gonna say at least 5 hours a day, because we used to receive a lot of messages, and we were literally kind of like burning out because of responding so many messages.
But still, we reply to the messages, you know.
So that's how we showed that we cared for those people that were following us. And we still dedicate a lot of time to responding messages. We cannot respond them all, but we do like try to respond as many as we can, because you have to let people know that they're still important, like they're part of your community. And that way, whenever you throw an advertisement, a sponsorship, anything, they see it as you are saying it because it's going to benefit someone in the community, not as you're just trying to sell them something.
No, that's great advice. Sorry, just to make sure I heard that right. You were spending sometimes on average 5 hours a day just responding to messages.
Yeah,
that's unbelievable.
Yeah,
that's amazing. And were there any throughout the journey? Were there any times where you considered stopping? Like, were there any of those days where you just sort of had that conversation and you're like, are we really gonna keep doing this?
Every day, Jay. Let me tell you, like we're a couple, and for us trying to even make content, like make a YouTube video or anything, it's a fight. It's a fight for sure. So every day we're like, screw this, like let's not do this anymore. I don't know, like every day for us. I don't know if it is because we're a couple and because we're Latinos, probably, but for us, like I think every day, right? Like we're still like, oh, well, of course, right now it's not like I'm gonna leave everything behind, right? But it's still like, you know, I don't want to do this, or like I'm feeling tired, and like I don't have motivation today to do something specific. But especially at the beginning of it, I think Juan was the one who was very, very like consistent with it, because he was just like, he wasn't thinking about the results at all. He was just like saying what he needed to say, like spreading love and kindness and all those things. And then even in the toughest days, he was still like doing something. So yeah, we're here because of him. But truly, like every day is a battle, and you just need to take it day by day, step by step, and yeah.
And Juan, how much of your personal motivations for starting Mundo Together from the beginning would you say are responsible for the fact that you just kept on going? Those motivations being, I'm just like, after a long day at the brewery, I just need to do something that makes me happy, and this makes me happy, even though it's stressful, it's frustrating, it's hard work. It still makes you happy. Is that, and I think that's actually, can I change my question? Can you tell me about that? Because it's just interesting to hear those two things at the same time, which is, I'm doing this to be happy. By the way, I wanted to quit every day. Like, how do those things fit in the same jar?
Yeah, so I think the way I see it and the way I used to see it at that moment was, I just needed to feel that I was accomplishing something at the end of the day, and it wasn't just going into work and then coming back and going to sleep. I wanted to do something that maybe many people weren't seeing, but at the same time I was kind of like just funneling my emotions and trying to make some people happier with whatever I was feeling. So yeah, it really was kind of like my escape. I was just trying to escape from the stress and all of that by communicating more happiness and joy to the world. When we did that, we were in the middle of the pandemic. We actually had COVID at that time. Like, I literally created Mundo Together while we had COVID still.
And that was before the vaccines. I need to say this.
Vaccines hadn't come out.
Yeah. So it was very bad. Like at the time when
I remember that, Carolina. I remember you were really really sick, right? You were really sick. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
he got the idea.
I think that made me feel happier at the end of the day, and I felt like it was bonding us together too. Just by the fact of that, just by having to take a picture together, by having to, I used to share any caption that I was gonna post with Carolina so that she would tell me any feedback or if I needed to change anything before posting. So yeah, that was my moment of happiness at the end of the day. And when it started to grow, of course, that made me even happier because, as you were saying before, it's super easy to quit. Like, we have been in those moments many times. And those challenges have come because, like maybe you're not seeing the results with all the work that you're putting through. Or maybe just because something bad happens. Like at the beginning, we had different partnerships that didn't work out as we wanted them to work. Sorry. And then, so those partnerships, they made me angry, and I was like, you know what? This is not worth it. Let's just forget about this project. We don't need to share our personal lives with anyone. But yeah, it just later became a habit. So now we have the good habit of having to create something, and people still like it, and that has brought us more sponsorships and then results, which is at the end what makes us still to be looking forward to continuing to grow the brand. Like, once you start seeing the results, then when you say that is paying off.
And how important would you say self-confidence is in the entrepreneurial process?
You go first.
I think it is important, but also the work that you're doing also gives you feedback and makes you, improves that self-confidence as well. So if you start something and then you don't do it anymore or quit at some point, that's going to affect your self-esteem, right? But if you keep doing what you said yourself that you were going to do, then that also gives you feedback of, okay, I'm doing this, I'm good at this. I'm instead of I don't see it as a matter of expecting the results from outside. I mean, it is better to expect those results from inside. So yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah. Confidence is you have to be confident or somehow confident at the beginning, but you also learn to be more confident. That's the reality. We used to be very shy at the beginning with the cameras. We were very self-critic with anything that we were posting. We would record one story 3 or 4 times because we didn't look according to us, we didn't look fine. Maybe we had a wrinkle, we had I don't know, something, and we were like, you know what? No, let's do it again. And then you just become less self-critic of yourself, you just start going with the flow and then forget about all that noise. And that only happens with time. You just have to wait, and then it becomes easier and easier to do those things.
It's interesting to me because what you're describing has nothing to do with external validation, right? You're not saying, well, self-confidence comes when other people start to give good feedback. What you're saying is the self-confidence comes when you figure out how to work through your improvement process. And it's more about working on yourself and feeling better about yourself than it is about the feedback that you're getting from other people. Is that
Yeah.
accurate?
Yes. 100%.
Yeah, I agree.
And how do you ever feel? Are there ever actually any times that you've sort of gone where you haven't made or put out content? Like you're pretty on the money when it comes to putting content out on a regular basis. Have you ever kind of taken a pause for any reason where you just didn't put it out for a week or 2 weeks or any period of time?
Yeah, many times actually. Yeah, there are some times in which you just need a break, and we take breaks because otherwise you just feel burnt out. So whenever we're on vacation with our families, we try not to post as much. Whenever we are on vacation, just like the two of us going somewhere, we either try to schedule things ahead so that they post automatically while we're gone, or we just don't post at all. And then we know that we're not going to be posting as much maybe that month. We'll just be posting whatever commitment we have with whichever brand we're working with. But yeah, it's sometimes needed to just take a break, take a pause, and then you start fresh again after maybe 1 week, 2 weeks. We even took, for YouTube, we took like a 3-month pause at some point because that's a lot of work, lots of editing, lots of planning, and we just couldn't catch up. We just couldn't keep up with the work at that point.
And how do you feel during those breaks? Is there an element of anxiety that comes with that? Where like, do you feel like we should be putting out content, or is there something internally, or do you take the break and you're like checked out? No, I don't care. I'm out. I need a break, or somewhere in between.
I think we do feel anxiety when we're not posting as much and like doing the things that we are supposed to be doing. But we also, I think we learn to also plan to rest as well. So we say, okay, this month is very hectic, so we're probably gonna not post, I don't know, 6 YouTube videos. We're probably just gonna post 4. But we also came to learn our minimum, So we already have like an idea of what we want to do, and also the brand commitments and all of that. So we make sure that we still getting that done. But also whenever we have things happening, we're like, okay, we cannot. That's okay too. Whenever we get sick or something like that, it's like, what can I do? It's like unexpected things are happening and you cannot do anything about that. And yeah.
Also, we do have very different personalities in that sense. Carolina is way less anxious compared to the way I am. So she just kind of like relaxes and she forgets about it. I am the opposite. I feel like I always have to be productive, and even in the mornings, like Carolina, if on the weekends she can wake up at 10 or 11 a.m. I cannot. Like my mind wakes me up at 7 or 8 a.m. no matter what, because I feel like I should be doing something at that point. So yeah, but you kind of learn. Like I have learned how to deal with that anxiety a little bit. And I think Carolina has helped me with that a lot, because I see that there is a way of doing things without feeling anxious and guilty. And she has been the one teaching me that. So it's getting better, but still a little bit of anxiety for sure.
And is there a bigger vision for Mundo Together? Like, do you have some sort of bigger plans for the future, for things you want to accomplish? And if so, are you able to share those? Or are you happy doing what you're doing and just see yourself continuing to do it because it's fantastic until the market tells you to react or adapt?
So yeah, we have like one of the bigger plans that we have is we want to truly help the world in the way that we wanted to help it at the beginning. So we have thought of doing like a charity. Starting a charity at some point. We don't know if we want to do it here or we want to do it in another country. We have also started to change a bit our communication strategy, because we were very focused on like coming to Canada, what life in Canada is like, all of that. And we have kind of like gone back a little bit to what we wanted to do a bit at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, yeah, like I feel the market is changing right now. There are different things happening with the immigration aspect. There is also things happening in how we feel about responsible and irresponsible immigration, and what many content creators are doing right now. So we don't want to be part of that. We actually, like, our thing has always been trying to help people in a responsible way. So we are just thinking of continuing the brand and helping more people. Maybe not from the immigration side, but maybe from another aspect. So yeah, I think that's like the bigger picture of what's coming, and we have been working on it. And all the content that we're trying to post right now is more aligned to that other strategy.
That's got to feel really good, knowing that you set out to do something at the beginning, and for a bunch of different reasons, it just didn't feel right. It didn't stick. And I find that just so interesting, how your journey is bringing you all the way back full circle. But it's almost like by trying so hard to do that when you first started, there was something about it that was limiting the success that you had. And so when you adapted, reacted, listened to what people were saying, went with where the value in the market was asking you to go, did that so successfully, you're now coming all the way back to what you wanted to do originally. How do you explain that? If you think about all the things that you've said, right? Like I tried to kind of summarize that, but how do you explain how that happens?
I think going back to what we were saying a few minutes ago is you have to feel good with what you're doing. Like making money and bringing money in the bank just because you want to like bring more money in the bank is not necessarily what makes you happy. And we are caring less and less about money right now. We're starting to think more about, okay, what makes us happy? Because that's really what Mundo Together has shown us, which is we can really do and pursue whatever we want in life. We are no slaves of any corporation or anything, because we can really pursue whatever we want. So going back to the basics and where we started brings us more joy. And now we can hopefully leverage all the process that we have, like all the in between the process that we have built. Because we do have an audience. The audience has been responding well. And yeah, it's just, I think it's kind of like to make us happier with what we're doing. Yep. I think that's the answer.
And do you have anything to add on that, Carolina? Or is that all, you're just like, check?
I think I think it's the intention, right? The intention that initiated this project was that one. And then now that we have a community, now that they know us, now that they also trust us, it is easier to bring that part that we wanted to show them at the beginning, and to say, hey, by the way, we helped you a lot and you guys helped us a lot too. But now, like, this is what we're interested in, and they have been responding well. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
And I think I'm just so impressed by that part of it, because what's interesting to me is your intentions never really changed, right? Like the way that you sort of went about your content and how you were sort of meeting the market where the value was, like that all was good, smart, intuitive, entrepreneurial, and just entrepreneurial in general, right? You did all the right stuff, but it's not like your intention ever really changed. Your true intention was always, we just want to make a difference in the world. There's got to be more joy around. And so, maybe our content isn't directly reflecting that, but your personal motivations were always rooted in that desire to to drive change and to make people happy and bring more joy to the world. So I just wanted to say I really sort of envy that element of your journey.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I
Jake.
think you just aced that summary that you just did about the whole thing that we did.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And would you say that this is a really good time to be an entrepreneur for people who are considering taking that step? Like, is this time a better time than other times? Is there something about this period of time that is just a good time to follow your dreams or take that leap, or does it not matter? Is today no different than 5 years ago, which is no different than 5 years from today?
I think what has helped me a lot personally, like I'm still working for a company, and is the flexibility that you have right now to work remotely. Because maybe right now we're thinking about traveling to a place to make content from that specific place, but I have the ability to go there with Juan and do that while I'm still working. So I think the time is more favorable than 5 years ago when COVID hadn't happened yet. However, like I think like any time is a good time to start, you know, and if you already have something in mind and you want to pursue it, just give it a try. Like the worst thing that can happen is that it doesn't work and you just go back to doing something else that you like, or go back to your previous job if you want to, you know. But at least you're not gonna be thinking what would have happened if I ever tried this thing that I wanted to try. So yeah.
And I think the world that we're living in right now also shows us that you have to have a plan B, or you have to have your plan A. Maybe that's your plan A, which is at the end of the day, corporations are always looking for profit, and that's there. I mean, there isn't necessarily anything bad about it, but also
it's their legal responsibility.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to be prepared too. Like if you many people just start identifying themselves with the company that they work for, and if the plans change because the company decided to lay off people or do something, then that's when people kind of like don't know what to do. I think there's always a good time in life to really kind of like think and explore what you're feeling so that you can actually start pursuing that. Because if you don't ever do it, the one thing that is going to happen is you will just regret it because you didn't even try. So yeah, I think, I mean, being an entrepreneur is not easy, but it is worth it if you actually start discovering all the things that you were maybe hiding inside of you because you didn't give it a chance. So yeah, I think that's I'm very philosophical in some ways.
No, that's honestly, it's I love it. It's fantastic. It really is. It really is. I'm gonna kind of switch pages here and kind of ask you a question out of left field that I'm feeling like I need to start to ask every guest on Be Entrepreneurial this question. How do you feel about artificial intelligence?
Juan, go ahead.
So I think it is really good, and I'm using a lot of AI right now for making things easier, and that's the way I see it. You as an entrepreneur can make it can use it as an advantage for your business. You can create scripts, you can create videos, you can do a lot of things. It worries me how it can be used in an irresponsible way by some bad actors in the future. But for the moment being, it's really helpful to create a business, and you can automate a lot of things so that your business becomes easier for you. Like you don't have to be doing all of the things yourself. You can actually automate the business and make it easier for yourself.
And do you think for entrepreneurs, like is it, if you haven't taken that jump yet into entrepreneurship, or if you have taken the jump and you're maybe a little bit into your journey, and you're just sort of at that stage where you're ready to sort of pivot, hit the gas on the next phase of your business. Is it already at the point where learning to utilize artificial intelligence is pretty much mandatory?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't do it, you're just gonna be left behind from the rest of the people. So yeah, definitely, I think so.
Isn't it fascinating how fast that became a reality?
Yeah,
It's-
so fast.
It's crazy. It's
ChatGPT, and then from there, everything else.
It is. And I like, for me, I can honestly say that a lot of the stuff that I'm doing today, I truly would not be able to do without AI. It's not even like it's helped me to be more efficient with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just created more capabilities to do things that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to do. Are you seeing some of that as well, where it's not just helping you to do stuff, but opening the door to do other things, new things, do things differently? Have you sort of started to get into that camp yet?
Mostly Juan.
yeah, 100%. Like,
He's using everything.
so just to give you a silly example, like just being able to take a video of ours, put it into a platform, and then make it extract our audio, and then kind of like creating captions out of the audio, and then you can translate the captions into any other language that you want. Those are capabilities that with some of our videos that we were doing in English before, I always used to post. So I used to edit the video with subtitles. Like I would put captions manually and type them manually, and it would take me forever to type them. Now, the job that I used to have to do for 2 or 3 hours, I'm getting it done in 10 minutes with AI. So yeah, not only more efficient, but like way, like you can actually expand your business. If I wanted to create captions in German, I could do it now, and I don't speak German. So
And it's the way that our business wants to go anyways, right? Our business wants to go to our initial idea, so we'll have to be speaking more English or mixing it up, and yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I feel like in a world like yours, where you have the ambitions that you have, things like artificial intelligence are so well suited for what you're trying to accomplish, because one of the things that AI does so well is that translation, communication, language, the large language models. And so that is so much at the core of connecting human beings in different places of the world, that it would truly be an advantage for you. And that, I think, like when I hear what you're saying, where I used to take, like, I think you said a couple of hours, now it's taking 10 minutes. Like, that's not a little efficiency. That's a fraction. That's when people say, oh, I can do the same thing in a fraction of the time. That is truly a fraction of the time. Yeah, that's amazing.
That's insane. It's insane.
Yeah.
And it's scary at the same time. Like, I didn't really know we had that capability of, like, I didn't even know AI existed until ChatGPT came out. That's literally, like, I'm being honest. And right now, everything is AI, which is crazy.
Yeah, I'll just tell, like, this is not about me, but I'll tell you, like, a really quick story. I hate Canva. Like, it's one of the things that I just, marketers, Canva, it's the jam. Fine. I hate it. I hate using it. I've always hated it. I've never liked it. there's something about it that just feels boxy. Always felt like it's I felt creative limitations by Canva. But when I've started to use some of these AI tools, and I can start to see the creativity coming out the other end in something that looks so incredible, which is that thing that I'm always trying to do, which is like take the crazy things in here inside my mind and find ways to bring those out into the world in a simple and articulate and a visually appealing way. It's like the speed at which I can do it is remarkable. So it sounds like you're having the same experiences, particularly in the content creation and translating space, right?
Yeah. it's crazy, and it's gonna get better and better every year. Like the more information we give to all the AI tools, the more things we're gonna be able to do and more efficiently. So yeah, I cannot imagine what it's going to be like in just a couple of years from now. With
I have two more questions for you. What's the biggest mistake that you've made throughout this journey? Is there one that sticks out to you as like that was a whoops? I'm trying to figure out if you have one and you don't want to say it, or if you're trying to figure out if you have one.
I'm trying to figure it out. But one is more self-critical, so maybe he has one.
No, I think one of the biggest mistakes that we did at the beginning was trying to make everyone happy with what we were posting. And it comes a time in which you just have to learn and understand that like no matter what you do, you're not gonna make everyone happy. So we said yes to a lot of things at the beginning that we shouldn't have said yes to. But only by doing that, then we learned that was the wrong way of doing it. Like if we wouldn't have done it, we wouldn't have learned the same thing.
Yeah.
So that for sure. And also being a little bit naive with some things at the beginning, because there are also bad people out there. So just to give you an example, we had one person who we know now that he was a scammer, like he was literally just doing a scam, and Carolina believed it, and he was a person telling us that he was in Africa and he needed some help with donations or whatever, and then we ended up donating some money, and we shared the link to donate on our social media, and we don't even know how many people got scammed, but that's what we learned, that not everyone is good, and we should be looking out for scammers and people trying to do bad things as well. So
True.
Yeah.
As people who are just trying to bring joy to the world, you generally don't put guardrails up when you first start that say, look for the bad actors. You're just trying to do good things, and you put your trust in people, right? Which
exactly.
Yeah, but good learning. My last question is this. What is and actually I'll ask it to each of you if that's okay. What is the one piece of advice? I'm gonna ask you a different question. Juan, what is the one piece of advice that you would give to an entrepreneur who's starting out today? The absolute above and beyond anything else. They've decided that tomorrow is the day that they are gonna kick off their passion, their business, whatever it is. They're going to start doing it tomorrow. What's the advice that you're going to give that person?
Do it, try, and don't quit if you think that is hard, because it is always going to be hard. People romanticize or make a romantic idea of entrepreneurship, and it is hard, but you just have to push through. And things will work out at some point. It could be a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, but they will work out. So just try, because it's better to try and say it didn't work out than just to regret it for the rest of your life because you didn't even try.
And Carolina, for you, if for people who are who've started out or who've already started out on their journey, they're maybe 2 to 3 years in, things have gotten a little bit tough. They're at that point where it's sort of like, what do I do next? How do I take this to the next level? Do I even take this to the next level? Not knowing, obviously, the individual circumstances, what would you tell somebody who is sort of in that period of time where they're just sort of trying to figure this out and they've been at it for a little while and seen some successes?
I'll say, like, if you're at that point, I will look for advice too of other people who already gotten where you want to be. I'll say look for advice. At least for us, it has helped us a lot to like surround ourselves with people who are, successful or who are where we want to be. And that always is going to bring a light or something, an idea or something that they say might resonate with you and might help you take your next step, whether it is like pivoting or whether it is continuing where you're going and keep working hard in that path. But I'll say, looking for advice and being humble enough to, say, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm lost in this moment of my life and my business, and I need help, I think is very valuable.
Well, listen, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to be here today. I'm just doing some quick math here. If you're taking about 5 hours a day to respond to people's messages, and we've been chatting for about an hour, there's 6 hours. That's more than some people work on any given day. So I know you're very, very busy. I honestly thank you so much. I was really, really excited to reach out to you. I was even more excited when you said you'd happy to be here. And I think that this discussion has been really, really valuable, particularly from the perspective of just waking up every day, trying to make yourself and other people happy and trying to do good things in the world. And when success comes to people like that, it makes me happy. I think that it makes you happy. And I think that it is really, really important for other people to hear those stories and know that they can do the same thing. So your advice has been fantastic. Thanks a million. And it was great chatting.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Jay.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.